Hello, Nasties. Today, we pick back up our topic of menstruation with an interview with Raashi Thakkar, a college student who started the Minte project. This program seeks to provide menstrual products and education to women and girls in rural India. With chapters on college campuses throughout the United States and support from across the globe and from the Clinton Global Initiative, Raashi is doing some amazing work, and we think you'll think so too. Enjoy!
She was warned. She was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted.
So today we're here with Raashi Thakkar, who is the founder of the Minte project. Hello, Raashi.
Hi.
So what is the Minte project all about? Do you want to tell our listeners what it is?
Okay, so it's an organization that's dedicated to providing menstrual health education to girls in rural parts of India. So first, we're starting out by raising funds at universities, medical schools, high schools all across the US, the UK, and parts of India. And so far we have about 25 to 30 campus chapters across the 3 countries. And so what these chapters are doing is that they're raising funds, and they're basically introducing the topic of period poverty and the lack of access of education for menstrual education in rural India. So they're raising money, and we're going to purchase these period products, and then we're going to work with local NGOs in the rural areas that we're focusing on, and they're going to deliver these period products to rural areas in India. And then in the summer of 2019, I will be going to India to launch a menstrual health education program in several schools in India for like middle schoolers and early high schoolers to try to educate girls about what periods are, how they can track their cycles, and kind of keep track of like what is like regular in terms of having a period.
And so did you say that we are in rural parts of India or both rural and urban?
So right now we're focusing our efforts in rural parts of India because that's where the NGOs that we're planning to work with are located. And so there is a lot of work that needs to be done in urban areas too. But with the efforts with NGOs, we've been trying to work alongside with them. And so since they're mainly focused in rural areas, that's where we've been focusing our efforts.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And the 3 countries you just mentioned, that's the UK, the US, and India, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what you do in the UK and the US is you do education, and then in India you also give away those menstrual hygiene products. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes. So at these universities, we'll start a chapter. So for example, we have chapters, a lot of them in the East Coast. So what they'll do is that they'll host charity events where we kind of talk about the cost, talk about the statistics that surround inequality with menstruation in India. And so we'll host these events and we'll raise money, and then we'll send the money over to the NGOs, and they'll handle distributing these products. And then additionally, since I'll be going to India in the summer of 2019, we're starting to develop educational materials for our workshops that we're going to be hosting in India.
Mm-hmm. And that's amazing. Now, judging from your accent, you're located in the US.
Yes.
Why also UK and India?
So I did not expect as much support as I received. So basically, I launched an Instagram page for the Minte project. How it all started was somebody encouraged me to apply for kind of like a grant from the Clinton Global Initiative. And so I had an idea. It all started when I was talking to cousins in India, and they told me that when they first got their periods, they didn't know what they were, and they thought they were bleeding out. And they thought that they were going to die. And so I thought that was very shocking because when we were in the 4th or 5th grade, they all gave us like a menstrual health workshop in our schools and classrooms. And we were educated that this is what's going to happen to you eventually, and this is what you need to do about it. And here are a couple products just in case it happens to you early on. And so we knew what to expect. But in India, 2/3 of girls who have their first period do not know what it is at all. That was very shocking to me. And so when I had the opportunity to work on a cause, that's what I chose to apply to the Clinton Global Initiative grants. And so that's how it all started.
I think it's so interesting because we in the United States, and I think England as well, and a lot of Western countries, we kind of take for granted that everybody just learns about their periods in school, or maybe from their parents, or certainly from television ads for menstrual products that are on constantly.
Yeah.
And so the idea that someone wouldn't have learned about that, I mean, it kind of shows our privilege as, people growing up in the West, but also I think it's really important to understand that not everybody gets the same kind of exposure that we do.
Yeah. And so when I launched the Minte Project Instagram page, I was just expecting possibly my university and maybe a university close by would be interested in helping out with this cause. But actually, within the first couple days, I had so much support from people all across the United States, and it eventually spread to the UK, and medical schools in the UK were interested in helping out with this cause. And then it eventually spread to medical schools in India and universities in India who thought that this was an interesting cause to help out with, since a lot of their students do come from rural areas, and they identified with the mission, and they started chapters at their universities.
So what does it take to start a chapter at your university?
So we've kind of streamlined the process. So basically we have a constitution that one of the chapters wrote for us. And so it has kind of like an outline of what the goals are, how to go about raising money, and how you can set up kind of like an executive board with like a president, a vice president, somebody in charge of fundraising, somebody in charge of outreach and hosting the events. And so we have a whole structure with the constitution. And then additionally, I wrote a couple guides on how to fundraise and how to kind of convince companies to donate food or things like that so we can sell it for fundraising events. And then additionally, I'm starting kind of like a national board to help me keep track of all the chapters. And so we're always recruiting for that. And so we can help keep all the chapters accountable and make sure that they reach their fundraising goals for the semester, for the school year.
So what I would like to know is what your relationship with the Global Clinton Initiative is, because I'm not an American. I don't really know what the Global Clinton Initiative is. So is it just funding the project, or what is it exactly?
So basically, the Clinton Global Initiative is this organization that they kind of identify causes that they believe that there needs to be a change, and they'll provide them with money, resources, mentorship to try and kind of fix this problem that you're passionate about. They have a program for university students called the Clinton Global Initiative University. And so that's what I applied for. And so I submitted like my proposal, how I plan about measuring my progress, how I plan on reporting my progress, and then the area that I was most interested in working with. So I chose women and girls, and I chose public health as my two causes that I was passionate about. And then so I pitched the idea, I submitted a grant, and then it eventually got accepted, and I got paired with a mentor who she kind of guides me on how I can expand my cause, places where I can kind of speak about my cause to try and gain more traction with it, like in terms of like raising money with companies and speaking events where I can kind of spread the word, basically. This weekend, I'll be going to Chicago to present the progress I've made so far and network with other students who also won this award too. So that's basically the whole Clinton Global Initiative program.
What I would also be interested in is, in recent years, there's been a lot of talk about period poverty. And as I understand it, your project, the Minte Project, tries to tackle the issue of period poverty, but also education. So does both things. But what I would be interested in is there any discussion of period poverty in the US? Because all the media, like all the news that I read about it comes from the UK. So do you maybe know communities that have an issue with period poverty, or is it And is it a topic that's discussed in the US at all, where you live?
Yes. So there's a national organization called Period.org, and it's also run by a college student. And so what she's doing is she's trying to end period poverty. And so she's recruiting also at the university level and starting campus chapters. And she's raising money, and she's working to donate period products to homeless women. And I've heard they've had a very large impact. I've heard they've donated about almost 500,000 products in their couple years of having the organization. So it definitely is a cause that has efforts being focused. And there are also a lot of organizations at the university levels and medical school levels that are working to try to alleviate this problem of period poverty. And also from from a corporate standpoint, Always, I don't know if that's popular in Europe, but it's a popular period product brand. And so what they're doing is they're trying to end period poverty by donating products to kind of homeless women and women who don't really have access to period products.
And part of the organizations, like the campus organizations that are formed in the US and UK and elsewhere, are also meant to spread the word in kind of about period poverty as well, not just in the United States, but internationally and globally as well, correct?
Yes, that's one of our main goals.
Yeah. How many people did you already reach with the project, and how many do you want to reach? What's the ultimate goal?
I have a goal of addressing 10,000 periods by the end of the school year, so basically by May. And so far, I've addressed about 1,000. And so what it takes to address a period, so I considered that about 15 products to one period. And with the NGOs that we're working with, it takes about $1 to $1.50 to address one period. So with all the fundraising events that we're hosting, so we tell the universities that we would really appreciate it if you could reach a fundraising goal of anywhere from 300 to 500 a semester. So with the 25 campus chapters that we have, we're slowly working towards that goal of 10,000. And eventually, what I hope to do is not rely as much on the university chapters to raise money to purchase period products, but I want to grow the program in a way that we could work alongside companies that create these products and work alongside with them to try and create kind of like a pipeline to deliver these products directly to areas in rural India.
So what are some of the NGOs who you are working with?
So one of the NGOs that we are working with it's called TAL. And what they do is they donate period products to women in India. And what they do is that you directly just donate to them and you tell them the areas that you're focused in, and they will kind of handle the whole process for you.
That's great that they already have kind of a system in place for that. And then you have the value added of not only providing them with the funding, but then also the education piece.
Yes. And so what we want to do is eventually I want to, along with the period products that we're sending, I eventually want to kind of write up like an infographic and kind of send them like a small journal or like a sheet of paper at least that will help them track their cycles so they know what to expect and what is abnormal, what is normal. And so in case they feel that they are suffering from like kind of a menstrual disorder, they know this is what is abnormal and normal, and they'll know like they need to reach out to a healthcare provider.
That's so important.
Yeah. So one of the other goals that I have for when I go to India to launch the menstrual health education program is that we want to work alongside Gynecological Society. And so we want to partner with the society, and what they'll hopefully help us do is their practice will come with us to our workshops and they'll educate girls on menstrual disorders like PCOS, fibroids, PMDD, amenorrhea. And so we want the girls to know that they have a healthcare provider that is available to them in case they do run into any of these issues. Because so many times, a lot of these disorders will go undiagnosed, which later leads to infertility as an adult.
Just a quick question, because I'm not a native speaker and I know that many of our listeners aren't either. What's PCOS?
So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Oh, okay.
And so it's a hormonal disorder, but so a lot of times the symptoms are very common, and a lot of people